Hey everyone, my name is Greta, product owner of NFTs, and I'm thrilled to announce a new experimentation by IO, our CryptoBisons NFT game. I am today with Romain, Charles, Josh, Karim, and Baptiste. In this talk, we are going to be detailing what this new initiative is about. Hey Romain, can you tell us more about it? Why a game? Why on Cardano? Why IO?
Yeah, sure. Thanks for introducing us. Charles always dreamed of creating his own video games, so we wanted to launch a game on Cardano to showcase the blockchain functionality. And it appears that Charles owns some Bisons, so why not trying to mix real-world element and virtual objects and game contents in the same game, right? Like Pokemon Go, for example. We contacted then the Engmin National Video Game School of France for this project and proposed to 6 students an internship to work on CryptoBison, a new game that you'll discover with a demo later. And we proposed and we defined with them a multiplayer game concept based on collectibles, NFTs, and many more fun features. So why a game? I think it's an interesting, beyond the fact that Charles enjoyed the domain, it's also a huge market. It's about $180 billion projected for 2021. So it's a great vertical for IO to look at. And also because multiplayer games are a great use case for blockchain. So if you look at multiplayer games components, you have the players. Players need to connect to a network, to a system. Usually you always log somewhere. So with blockchain, you have a login. It's your wallet. You can implement in-games credits that you can represent with tokens. You can implement payments and rewards through the classical blockchain. You can have a communication between players. You can using normal transaction to build turn-by-turn games, for example, or you can use state channels with Hydra to build real-time games like first-person shooters or high-speed simulations. Game objects and collectibles can be represented with NFTs, and that's what we will see in the demo. Those game objects can then be shared across games, but not only within games. You could reuse your game object in different games, but also in other entertainment support, having your own music, having the integration of your game content in other platforms, social networks, etc. And finally, the logic and the scenario can be represented as a smart contract to evolve the scenario, but also the game objects, the collectible, etc. So I think we are very ambitious for this project, and I'm sure it's going to bring a great innovation that will lead to standards. Because we have, for example, to design what is a game object on an NFT standard, right? And so how we can evolve that NFT over time, because the game objects can be attached to other elements in the game, right? You can have many versions of the game standard, so that will lead to great research, I believe. I think we can envision a greater monetization also, because when you own your NFT and you can reuse your creations, you can then earn money differently. So for the players, for the developers of the game, for the producers, I think there's a lot to innovate. In particular, if you look at the legal frameworks I think we'll discover the complexity of players or studios to issue game objects and players to own game objects that have been designed by others and that they evolved, right? Where is the IP into this? So I'm really happy that we are launching this initiative today.
Great, thank you. And Charles, you're one of the main sponsors of this game. How do you see the impact of NFTs on the game industry and as an interconnection between the physical and the digital world?
Yeah, it's an interesting project, and it's actually a very fun project to work on. The original design brief was that we wanted to do something where we combine NFTs, algorithmically generated music, and blockchain together with a geolocation component. So there's a lot of games like, I think there was Idris and there was Pokemon Go and these things where something in the real world would be connected to something in the game world. And then there's this concept of blockchain enforced scarcity, which is what an NFT does. And there's a lot of examples of where that could potentially be greatly valuable. I was a fan of Paul Hudik's work over at Yale with the Haskell School of Music. And so we always wanted to do something with algorithmically generated music. And so we gave kind of a very loose design brief to the students in France, and we said, have some fun with it and see what you guys can do. And it's absolutely remarkable to see month by month the level of creativity and the convergence to something that actually has very practical gameplay mechanics. For example, you have PvP components, you have marketplace components, you have the ability to upgrade and grow an NFT. Right now, NFTs are considered to be static things. They're pictures, they're videos. It's like owning a letter or something like that. It doesn't change, and it's just there, and it trades and so forth. Well, what's nice about CryptoBison is it's a new class of NFT where the use of the NFT actually has as much to do about its value and its tradability as just possessing it. And so that's really a great experiment to conduct. This also has very practical infrastructural implications on Cardano. So right now with CryptoBison, we're using, I believe, the Unreal 5 engine. And that basically means that over time, we can talk to all the middlewares like the Unities and the Unreals and the CryEngines and so forth. And we're going to be able to actually build out infrastructure there to make it easier for game developers to use the Cardano blockchain for games. So this is a great pilot. It's a great proof of concept. It's a great experiment to kind of take certain things like NFTs to the next level, take gameplay mechanics to the next level, and build a really immersive online environment that ultimately will actually bring game developers into the Cardano ecosystem for their own projects. And then finally, the bridging of the physical real world with the digital blockchain world, it hasn't really been done much before. There's been a few things here and there, and they're always fun and exciting. But this is an example of where we're taking something very real. My bison, I have about 500 of them on a ranch, and somehow we're finding a way to give them a personality and a life that'll extend beyond them and be consumable by the general public. Once that's done, then what you can do is use it as a template for anything in the physical world. It can be artwork, it can be other types of animals, it can be people, it can be places, these types of things. So these are design patterns. How to make dynamic NFTs, how to do geolocation with an NFT game, how to integrate a game into the blockchain space, how to build something that has competitive elements into it in a blockchain space, a PvP component to it. All of those components, this is what this game is really pushing out. And then what's beautiful is there's a lot of creativity on the boundaries. Like, for example, the algorithmically generated music component. This is an emerging thing in game worlds, and it's something that, in my view, is very underdeveloped. And it's exciting to actually see some progress be made here and have that be connected to a game world, have that be connected to an NFT world. That's going to be exciting to watch that grow. So this is one of my favorite projects to work on, even though I haven't had a lot of time and we've been so busy with other things like the launch of smart contracts. Every time I see this come up my calendar, I try desperately to attend the meetings and interact with the team, because they really get me excited. And it's a super pleasure to be here today and to see all of you and be able to talk about CryptoBisons publicly for the first time ever.
Yeah, thank you. That's so interesting. And hey, Karim, can you explain more about the game?
Sure. So basically, once we spoke with Romain and Charles, the first question that we had as students was not about gaming at all, but what happened in a field when you have so many bisons, like 500 bisons. And in our team, we have two people who are really passionate about music, Enzo and Martin. And we thought about what will happen if bison discover music. So they are bored, they eat grass. One bison one day fall, and it makes noise, it's exciting, it is alive, it's okay, and then music is born. So we decided to make a link between these bisons, these real bisons, and a lore, like a digital world where bisons will be ruling the field with only music, a peaceful world in which you'll be able as a player to create your band and to challenge each other to determine who is the best band. What is great about what we are doing is that we are not only focusing on the generative music, right? It's procedural, so depending on the instruments that the bisons are playing, there is a kind of unique music that is going to be played. And also what is great about this topic is that we can create a real experience using the technology, the NFT and the blockchain, because what we want to do, we want all of the players to be the owners of the music, this unique music, and these unique bisons that they are going to be creating. So this is why we are implementing, of course, a marketplace to acquire bisons, but the most important, a sandbox in which players will be able to craft their own instruments, accessories, to give birth to bisons with a breeding mechanic and with seasons to limit the number of bisons. So this is very exciting. We've been working 2 months on this prototype, and we're very happy to share today a demo of this game.
CryptoBisons. In this game, you can buy bisons, which will be NFTs. Collect bisons, then build your own musician's band. And play amazing concerts with procedurally generated music.
And, one really important thing that Karim brought up, and it should be emphasized, you see a lot of games, they seem to focus on destruction and violence. But what's really cool about CryptoBison is that competition is done through creativity. Even in the player versus player mechanics, you're actually building something, you're doing something, and then there's a preference of who wins. That's a unique thing in the game world. And in many cases, people don't think that there's commercial value there or there's going to be adoption there. But let's look at some of the most successful games that have come out. One example would be Minecraft, in that open sandbox world where you're kind of rewarded for open-ended creation. So I really hope that this inspires people to create more models where it's a collective effort to create. And then the other side of it is that the customizability, the ability that you as the player have an enormous amount of say in the game world is a very important thing. I remember years ago as a kid playing EverQuest and these other MMORPGs, they're like wax museums. They're static. You can go and run the quest and participate, but whether you were there or not, it actually has no material impact at all on the game world. So one of our hopes and iterations of this concept in this game is that the game is self-evolving and it's connected to the players and how they interact with each other. And just by you being there, it actually changes the arc of the game, the history of the game, and so forth. First with aesthetics, because almost all the aesthetics will be player-driven, but later on with new gameplay mechanics as well. So this is really a beginning, not an end. It's just an opener for a collection of concepts. And if we really get it right, I think CryptoBison is going to be here to stay, and it's going to evolve in very unpredictable, emergent ways that we're going to be spectators to, like everyone else.
You are right, Charles. The video game industry always was at the forefront of experimentation of simulation of real worlds and virtual worlds, and multiplayer games are about networks. It's a network of users, so they have to be governed, right? You need to put rules. You need to vote for the winner, or you need to entertain the community. And I think we'll learn a lot in this game, in CryptoBison, for Voltaire era, studying the governance mechanisms, maybe new ways of interacting between users.
Absolutely. This is why we were very excited, is that we use the technology to enhance the gaming experience. So it's not just a proof of concept, it's a real game experience that we're building, and it's a new one. It's very exciting to do that, to give the player the ownership. That's great.
Sure. And Karim, can you tell us more about the story behind this project?
Yeah. So as Romain said, we were initially a group of 6 students at NGMIN, which is the National School for Video Game and digital media in Angoulême. So we are from the promotion P17. I say hi to my promotion. And what happened is that we talk about how we can use NFT and Cardano to really bring a new experience, a new gaming experience. We spoke about music a bit. We brainstormed with students, and we came to the conclusion that we had to do this band. Like you have to create a band, and it's not about who is the best. It's just about having fun. To generate music, you don't even know the kind of. We have 5 genres of music, right? We have hip hop, we have jazz, we have pop, we have rock. And you can have this genre of music, but what is important is that you are going to discover the music once you are creating the band, and it's never the same music. And this is what is very funny and exciting. So this is the main idea that we have with the real Bisons of Charles. We thought about them as legendary Bisons, the pioneers in the music industry, and now the players are entering this world, this field where Bisons are ruling with music, peaceful world, and they are going to create their own music and also their own accessories. T-shirt, it can be T-shirt, it can be whatever related to the punk style, to the rock style. And we found it very cool.
Great. Why did you decide to include NFTs in your game? Which value do you think NFTs adds to the game and to the players?
One thing that is important with NFT is that, for example, let's say that we take 5 Bisons and we create a band, and we call this band the Great Tooth, for example. We can decide who are the first members of this band. We can give names to the instruments. So when you think about this first principle, this first mechanics that you can relate with when you play RPG games, you can say that you are going to be the owners of the instruments. You are going to be the owners of the Bisons, and the NFTs and blockchain allow to give the total and real ownership of these items to the players. So not only are they the owners of the Bisons, the instruments, the accessories, but as a sandbox, the game itself, the player are ruling the game. And the blockchain NFTs allow to have this registry, to ensure to have this transparency, to have this safety for players to have fun. And with NFT, you can also express your style. And maybe if you want to sell or you want to book a musician, it's also a nice economy, like economic mechanic that we want to implement and try. Because sometimes when we think about the modding community, for example, or microtransactions, it's always at the cost of the players. And with blockchain, we can have a real economy that's beneficial, that is great for the players. So this is the main reason. And also you have collectibles. So the collectibles, you can use them in other games, right? You can use, for example, a guitar in another games. The most important, as Charles says, is the tools. So you have Unreal 5, for example, and you have other tools. And with NFT, it's the same. These tools allow you as a game programmer to design experiences and to design universe that are going to communicate with each other. And even maybe with other applications, learning applications. So great potential.
Great. And Josh, can you give us some context about what IO has been doing regarding NFTs so far?
Sure. As you've seen throughout the summit and what you'll see coming up at the summit are all the different partners and approaches that we have from CryptoBisons here to partnerships in the ecosystem with other marketplaces to get Cardano integrated and open up those platforms for artists and creators. Outside of this, IO, as you know, is very innovative, and we're looking at ways and measures to bring NFTs to other products across the board. We're very excited for the direction it's taken us. We've had a lot of hard lessons learned, and we're really generating out how we can make Cardano number one.
Yeah, just by the way, Josh has been in the collectibles business for how many years now? About 3 years, 4 years? Yeah, about 3 years. Yeah, he runs a small shop called Crypto Supreme, and it's done a lot of really cool things. And, that whole concept of building mechanics of connecting something in the physical world to something in the digital world, right now we're exploring that for Bison, but you can do it for collectible coins, collectible plates, all kinds of these things. And that whole concept of the use of it generates a history which is verifiable to augment and improve the value of that collectible asset. We intrinsically do this, like, oh, well, hey, this car belonged to John Voight, or this painting here Napoleon had, or something like that. When we internalized that, but now we're actually physically doing that in a blockchain system where that history is verifiable, mutable, and time-stamped, so you can help it for authentication as well. It's a really exciting mechanic in that respect, and it's something that I think is ubiquitously valuable for small, medium, and large enterprises that engage in the collectible business. And we're pretty excited to see how these concepts can be ported as a case study to some of the things that Josh does, but then also musicians can do, companies can do, especially to commemorate events.
Yeah, the notion of the rights behind an object or a creation is important we need to learn about it, because the NFTs are representing value currently, but they don't transfer the ownership really, or the digital rights, the copyright associated to creations, for example. And I think this project will lead us to be proposing our contribution to some standards.
Well, thank you very much, and be on the lookout for more details on this CryptoBisons game.
Yeah, I would like to credit the team that created the prototype and is working very, very hard to implement all these mechanics. So Enzo Giglio, Martin Rabillet for sound design, Baptiste Roussery for game programming, Pierre Acetuno for game design, Elsa Nedelec, mother of Bison, for the 3D modeling, and Santiago Orozco for the 2D assets and the interfaces. So thanks a lot, guys, for this work. Yeah. Yeah, we have also 2 new contributors. So we are going now to work really hard also on the animation side of the project with Laura Martin, who is a 3D, 2D animator, and a friend of us, Valentin Posadas, a UX researcher, who is from our promotion, who is going to help us to playtest the game and to improve the mechanics and also the interfaces. So I think that it's going very well, and we are very happy to have these 2 new people with us.
And it's important to point out this is a living project. So as the project evolves, the level of collaboration will continue to evolve. And then another thing is that as we build things, the Plutus group, the core team, is going to analyze what we're building. And if we find really interesting things that can be templated, modules that can be constructed, we'll spin them out of CryptoBison and open source that code and make them available to the general public for other game developers to use them, small and large. And so the longer CryptoBison go on, the more advanced the surrounding technology around CryptoBison will become. And certain things like algorithmically generated music, it would be super cool for those to become open source libraries and tools that any game developer can use. That's part of the ethos of this company. Input, output, everything we do, we always try to open source. We always try to be Creative Commons. We never pursue patents. This is really the people's space for creativity. And so if we're doing it right, then that means it's as defined by the users of the system and the people who build on top of the system as it is defined by us as game developers. And hopefully this plus all the future projects that are derivatives of that will be able to epitomize that philosophy.